Sports News Leader. Coronavirus questions answered. This is News Channel 3 live at 6:30.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Peter Dowd. This is a special edition of Coronavirus Questions Answered. Tonight, we have brought together the leaders of all 9 cities in the Coachella Valley to answer some of your questions. And here they are. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We're dedicating tonight's entire half-hour program to hearing from each of you about the impact the coronavirus has had on your city and what your plans are for the future. Obviously, each of the 9 cities that comprise the Coachella Valley are unique in dealing with this crisis in very different ways. But before we get to that, I'd like to begin by introducing each of you. There are 9 of you, so please nod your heads when I say your name. Palm Springs Mayor Jeff Coors, Cathedral City Mayor John Aguilar, Desert Hot Springs Mayor Scott Mattis. The mayor of Rancho Mirage was unable to appear on camera, so representing the city in her place is former mayor and current Rancho Mirage council member Charlie Townsend, Palm Desert Mayor Gina Nestandi, Indian Wells Mayor Ty Peabody, La Quinta Mayor Linda Evans, Indio Mayor Glenn Miller, and Coachella Mayor Steven Hernandez. All right, I'd like to start by asking each of you about the economic fallout from the coronavirus. Non-essential businesses are closed and major tourism events have been postponed or canceled, creating huge revenue losses this year. What are the projected losses for each of your cities, and how do you plan to address the shortfalls? Let's begin with La Quinta Mayor Linda Evans. Since your city just announced it is now offering interest-free loans to small businesses in need of emergency relief. Linda.
Yes, thank you, Peter. First of all, thank you for having all of us. This is quite a treat for all of us this way. La Quinta started a loan program for our La Quinta businesses. $1.5 million was allocated. We can allocate more if needed. That opened up on Tuesday in increments of $5, $10, $15, and $20,000. So far, as of this morning, we've had 60 applications that are in process by our local businesses. And we're facing a $7 million loss so far in our city's budget, significant part of sales tax and TOT. And we are already looking at shortfalls to make up and recoup that with pulling from a little bit of reserves, because we do have ample reserves to be able to pull from for a disaster such as this.
Palm Springs Mayor Jeff Coors, tonight your city will consider declaring a fiscal emergency. What can you tell us?
This is taking a huge hit on the city just from when the stay-at-home orders went in place for part of March. Through June in this fiscal year, we're looking at least a $25 to $26 million hit due to loss of TOT and sales tax. We have tripled our reserves over the last 4 years, but that said, that's not going to be enough to cover this into next year. So we are looking at what we need to do now. We've been advocating, as the other cities, that we be included in some of the stimulus packages, that we get some paycheck protection here, and we really need that in order to get through this as healthy as we can. Cathedral City Mayor John Aguilar.
Yes, thank you, Peter, and thank you for having us this morning. So in Cathedral City, first of all, our business community is very resilient, particularly our car dealers. They continue to keep their repair shops open. They're still doing business. Auto sales can be done online, so they're one of our largest sources of revenue. So we're working with them to, at some point, be able to put them back in business full time. But until that time, we're looking at about a $10 million hit to our budget. That's through loss of sales tax, hotel tax, and revenue taxes from our cannabis businesses. But we've already maintained, we have a freeze in place. We've cut non-essential expenses, and we'll be looking at what alternatives we can implement to be able to make up for that gap.
Desert Hot Springs Mayor Scott Mattis.
Thank you, Peter, for having us. Same in Desert Hot Springs, our small businesses, our backbone, and our tourism. We're looking at a couple $1 million in loss. Our finance director is still doing the analysis to see exactly what that's going to hit us in the first and second quarters of next year. But we're reaching out to our small business, trying to help them as much as possible by having webinars and other things like that to continue to support them. So that's our biggest problem right now.
Rancho Mirage Council member and former Mayor Charlie Townsend.
Well, Peter, we have 53% of our income comes from our TOT tax, and the rest comes from business tax. We are seeing a shortfall prediction of about $4 to $6 million. Fortunately, we have a $72 million reserve that's broken up into several categories, and we will take that in stride and we will work with that.
Palm Desert Mayor Gina Nestandi.
Hello, thanks for having me. Palm Desert has done a great job of saving up to $100 million in reserves, and we have $12 million dedicated to emergencies. And we are financially strong, and we'll get through these tough times. Having said this, though, our finance department assessments of deferrals and forgiveness of sales tax, loss of TOT, is that we may end the current fiscal year with $13 to $14 million in a shortfall. So, however, this figure depends upon the sales tax revenue and how many businesses take advantage of the governor's sales tax deferral, as well as what amount will be lost from closed businesses. It could be as low as $3 million or as high as $8 million. And some businesses may have filed before the governor's announcement of deferral, and we still expect to see some payments from out-of-state retailers as they may or may not be subject to the governor's offer of deferral.
Indian Wells Mayor Ty Peabody.
Yeah, thanks, Peter, for having me. We are basically looking over the 2 years of about $11 million lost in revenue, but we have already made the decisions to make up for that through either delaying projects or putting projects off for an extended period of time. We will not touch our general fund and we will not touch our reserve. 8 years ago, we put away, starting 8 years ago, $2 million a year. We didn't expect this. We're thinking more of an earthquake, but we had $16 million put away. So right now we're in a position where we don't have to touch the reserves.
Indio Mayor Glenn Miller.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you for having all of us. The city of Indio obviously is the city of festivals, and that really put a damper on our budget when the Coachella Fest and Stagecoach Music Festivals backed up. We're hoping to have them in October. We're looking at about a $7 million shortfall this year. We're hoping to make that up when the concerts come forward in October. We have ample reserves right now to be able to cover it. We also have Measure X that our residents pass, which is about $8 to $9 million of general fund sales tax that we're using for individual projects. So we'll evaluate what we have going on, make sure we shore up our budget, and get our businesses back to work as soon as possible.
And Coachella Mayor Stephen Hernandez.
Thank you, Peter, for having us, and look forward to this conversation. This year, the city of Coachella, we're expecting about a $300,000 to $400,000 hit to our budget. Next year, we're expecting about a $1.2 million hit to our budget. However, a lot of that is deriving from the cost of some of the contracts that we have, such as the sheriff's service and as well as police and fire. But all in all, the city was not hit that bad because our revenue stream is not necessarily dependent on TOT as well as sales tax generation.
All right, thank you, everyone. Focusing now on the roadmap to recovery, the governor recently laid out a plan for California to begin easing restrictions and reopen the economy. But some of you have been very vocal that you do not think we should wait and that now is the time for people to get back to work. I'd like to start with the mayor of Palm Desert, Gina Nestandi, since you recently wrote an editorial entitled, "Governor Newsom, It's Time for Us to Get Back to Work." I interviewed you about this on our program earlier this week. Gina, do you still stand by your message? Is it really time for people to get back to work?
Yes, I do believe it's time for people to get back to work, but it needs to be in an organized fashion, not just turning on a light switch tomorrow and everything opens up how it was back in February. It needs to follow a procedure that the county approves of, and we need to make sure that we mitigate any negative healthcare effects that might spread the virus. We need to continue social distancing practices, and I believe we can start doing that sooner rather than later.
Palm Springs Mayor Jeff Kors, I'd like to get your thoughts now because you've taken the stay-at-home order very seriously. Your city has actually imposed steeper penalties for people who violate them. Fines for the first violation may be up to $5,000, and a second or third violation could lead to fines up to $25,000. So based on what Mayor Nestandi just said, is Palm Springs overreacting, or do you agree with her that most people can and should go back to work right now?
No, I think that we're really fortunate. We have not had a single repeat violator after a warning. So we have not had to issue citations. Our business community, our residents have done a great job. And the percentage increase that we're seeing in Palm Springs is much lower than we're seeing statewide or in the county as a whole now. And the Coachella Valley is doing really well. So it's a testament to people really stepping up and following the rules. Of course, we'd all love to see businesses open safely. And the governor said he's going to base it on science. It'll be phased. It's going to be smart. And we're going to follow the rules. So we're waiting for his actions. He's working with public health experts on when to do it and how to do it. And we're looking forward to that time coming.
Cathedral City, John Aguilar, what are your thoughts on when and how we should reopen?
Thank you, Peter. Well, from our perspective, and I think this is shared by my colleagues, the health and well-being of our residents is the paramount consideration in any decision to go back to work and to begin to resume the normal as it's going to be in the future. I mean, even though we're seeing a flattening of the curve, we are still seeing increases in the number infected that could be due to more testing, which is great. But the city, Cathedral City, will follow the medical advice of Dr. Kaiser at the county level and Dr. Chavez at the state level when it's time to implement new protocols, and we'll be a partner when that happens.
Desert Hot Springs Mayor Scott Mattis.
Thanks, Peter. Yeah, we worry. Obviously, the age groups that are still spiking is 18 to 64, so we worry about that. But I also worry about my small businesses and our tax revenue in the future, getting them back to work, getting employees back to work so they're not collecting unemployment and feeding their families. So it's kind of you go back and forth on which direction you should go. But we need to do it the proper way, social distancing. Desert Hot Springs is working on an opening Desert Hot Springs plan so that we can follow through when the governor and the county releases those orders.
Indian Wells Mayor Ty Peabody.
Yeah, my concern, obviously, I've been in retail all my life. The restaurant industry really is being destroyed, and I'm not sure most of them will come back. The margins are thin, the cash flow is negative now. And my concern is we have to worry about people being safe and healthy, but at the same time, if something doesn't happen soon, you're going to see hotels close in this valley, and you're going to see a whole bunch of restaurants and retail outlets close. So we've got to really look at the total picture versus just the health. The health is obviously the most important, but at some point you've got to take the risk and move forward, or you won't have to worry about the economics in this valley.
La Quinta Mayor Linda Evans.
Thank you. We are being deliberate and strategic in our efforts to develop our plan to reopen, but we are being proactive. Just like we reopened the parks, trails, and golf courses immediately after the county did a lift with greater restrictions, our effort was to start having people get outside, be healthy, try to start getting a routine going from a health and wellness standpoint with the proper guidelines as we then look to the next step, which is businesses. And we're now doubling our positives at 11.4 days versus 4.7 days. So we're clearly seeing that the curve is being flattened, but it will be elongated. And our effort will be to try to push up to get businesses open in a safe manner versus waiting for it to happen.
Rancho Mirage Council member and former Mayor Charlie Townsend.
Well, Peter, you know that our age skew is 65 plus in Rancho Mirage, and I think people are very cautious, will be very cautious coming back into the fold of going to dinners and playing golf or even doing recreational services that are available to them. So I really think it's going to be slow in coming for us all.
And Coachella Mayor Stephen Hernandez.
Thank you, Peter. I think it's really going to come down to our ability for businesses, school, childcare facilities to support physical distancing. I think it's important that as a region, as cities, that we develop some protocols and some guidelines to really ensure that the businesses and their employees can be safe, as well as their customers. So I think the faster we can develop these guidelines, these protocols, I think that'll help us in reopening some of our businesses.
Indio Mayor Glenn Miller.
Thank you, Peter. Yeah, the city of Indio, we're being proactive. We're actually talking with La Quinta about what we can do to open up our small businesses and our large businesses in a safe and efficient manner where not only is the public protected, the employees, but also the customers that are coming in to shop at these facilities. I don't see it being difficult to be able to do. We have some great models in place, and I think we need to be proactive about getting these open quicker than later to not only help the economy, but also get people back to work.
All right, thank you, everyone. Coming up, what should and should not be open right now. Hear what the mayors have to say about the stay-at-home order and restrictions on the special edition of Coronavirus Questions Answered.
When I fight for injured people, I know that winning is everything. When you compare my law firm to other personal injury firms, you'll discover why we're the right choice.
The law offices of Barry Rieger. Experience you can trust.
Everybody's talking about the coronavirus, including us. We're here with a hotline and expert care for those with COVID-19 symptoms. For other healthcare concerns, our primary and specialty care providers are offering telemedicine appointments and seeing patients in office with safety precautions. Our emergency department is safe and available for patients with any life-threatening symptoms. Eisenhower Health. Care that's right. Here.
There will be parties again soon, and family gatherings. There will be parades, and sporting events, and concerts. To help our communities when they come back together, respond to the 2020 census now. Spend a few minutes online today to impact the next 10 years of healthcare, infrastructure, and education. Go to 2020census.gov and respond today to make America's tomorrow brighter. It's time to shape our future.
I'm Dr. Roland Reinhardt. I'm a double board certified physician specializing in pain management. Alleviating pain is all I do. You don't have to live with chronic pain any longer. We utilize advanced techniques to determine the precise cause of your pain, then apply specialized methods to eliminate the source of your pain. Please call for an immediate appointment today at 341-2360. We're dedicated to you living pain-free. Please let me help you.
Why choose Stephen Powell as your real estate agent? Because Stephen Powell can save you thousands when listing your home. Stephen has created a one-of-a-kind real estate marketing and representation system that allows you to save thousands in realtor fees without sacrificing service.
Hi, I'm Stephen Powell. If your home is worth $300,000, you will save $6,000 in commission. That's your 33% from me to you. Call today.
When I fight for injured people, I know that winning is everything. When you compare my law firm to other personal injury firms, you'll discover why we're the right choice.
The law offices of Barry Rieger. Experience you can trust.
First Alert Weather brought to you by Comfort Air. They're #1 for a reason.
Welcome back to this special edition of Coronavirus Questions Answered with leaders from all 9 cities of the Coachella Valley. Focusing now on the stay-at-home order and restrictions, I can tell you we continue to get a lot of questions from viewers who think the restrictions either go too far or they don't go far enough. From golf courses to hiking trails to swimming pools to even large furniture stores, people continue to have strong opinions about what should and should not be open right now. I'm sure that each of you have also heard from your constituents about this, so I'd like to know what you think. Is there anything you think should be open that isn't? Let's start with Indio Mayor Glenn Miller.
Well, thank you, Peter. I really do believe that we have the models in place. Mathis Brothers is one of the ones that kind of got hit when they opened up the doors. We did not allow them to open. Their attorneys felt that the order was not prevalent to their business, and so they challenged it. But they had a model in place that I think Supervisor Victor Manuel Perez saw also that allows business to be open, able to track, and be able to bring people in. I think all of our businesses need to be slowly integrated in and be able to open up under the safe guidelines of making sure they're masked, making sure there's social distancing, and then making sure that those businesses have set up their locations so that people can come in safely and be able to start work again. So I think it's paramount that we get all the businesses open.
Palm Springs Mayor Jeff Kors, earlier this week, the county announced golf courses, including the 122 across the Coachella Valley, may reopen, but with restrictions. But right now, courses are still closed in Palm Springs. Do you anticipate that Palm Springs will be joining the rest of the county in opening up golf? And what do you think of all the other restrictions in place?
Well, I've learned never to anticipate what the council will decide, and we'll decide that tonight. We've asked Dr. Kaiser for some information, especially around how to do public distancing and not touching equipment in tennis and pickleball. So we want to look at those things. And so we will make that decision at our council meeting tonight. We've also asked about people being able to swim. One person at a time in an HOA still is not allowed to swim under the county order. And there are people with disabilities and medical conditions. That's the only exercise they can get. So we've asked him to look at that and get back to us on that as well. Cathedral City Mayor John Aguilar.
Thank you, Peter. Well, for the most part, our citizens are embracing the order to stay home and are doing the right thing. And I believe that we have to be very careful and take a very measured approach when we're considering expanding the list of essential services and also looking at opening other businesses. And I'm particularly concerned about the tourism industry, which of course is the lifeblood of our valley. But when this starts to occur, we're going to be bringing in a lot of people from outside the valley that could present a potential impact in terms of the spread of the virus. So as long as we have the appropriate protocols in place, and I think we can be supportive of continuing to expand what is essential or non-essential.
Desert Hot Springs Mayor Scott Mattis.
Thanks, Peter. When the county relieved the order this week on golf courses and parks, we did the same. We don't have any golf courses in our city, but we do have parks. So our open space, our dog parks are reopened. We are still cordoning off the playgrounds and other facilities that you can actually touch. But when it comes to small business, I guess the question is, what is social distancing? What are the protocols? And we've got to get there. And that's what Desert Hot Springs is working on, and hoping the county will put out some guidelines so that we can actually get those businesses back open. People need haircuts. People need to wash their car. People need to get out to the stores and buy essentials.
Rancho Mirage Council member and former Mayor Charlie Townsend.
Well, Peter, I think that Rancho Mirage, along with the other cities, will really follow the guidelines from the county health department and from Sacramento. They have all the input, they have all the knowledge, and all the ones that we work together with the other 8 cities, we will have the right direction in the future.
Palm Desert Mayor Gina Nestandi.
Again, we have been focused on the healthcare hardship and effects of the disease. The federal, state, and county public health officials and healthcare workers have done a great job mitigating the effects of the disease. However, we really need to start focusing on the economic hardships and elevate it. And just like Supervisor Perez led the effort to ease recreational restrictions like golf and hiking, so we want to continue those conversations.
Indian Wells Mayor Ty Peabody.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to thank Glenn and Linda and Gina for being proactive on the golf. It wouldn't have happened without the group of mayors and councils and city managers that we're able to get them to do that. And we're going to enforce it and monitor our own private courses to make sure they don't violate it. Because if they do, they'll shut it down again. Right now, Gina and I are particularly focused on the living desert, which my concern is the living desert's losses are not sustainable. And if we don't get them open, they're perfectly willing to follow all the guidelines and the rules, but we need to get them open pretty quickly or we may lose one of our best entertainment features in this valley.
La Quinta Mayor Linda Evans.
We again want to take a calculated, measured approach. I have the benefit in my healthcare position with Desert Care Network to ease into business as normal in the hospital as well. We're following county and CDC guidelines to start doing elective surgeries again and opening up services that were initially postponed at the governor's request as well to ensure that we had the resources necessary to treat COVID patients. So by looking at how the healthcare system is beginning to ramp up its business operations, we're applying those same measures and quality concerns and safety concerns on the city side. So I would support opening up more businesses without the large gatherings, because the limited essential group right now, there's a lot of recreational shopping and there's more crowds in those limited places than if we were to spread that out with the right elements in place to ensure a safe and healthy environment for everyone.
And Coachella Mayor Stephen Hernandez.
Thank you. I think it's safe to say that we can't operate as a society with the stay-at-home order forever. However, I think it's important that we follow the science, that we don't necessarily let politics dictate our public policy. But having said that, though, we are seeing some great indicators in terms of the number of days that the doubling is happening. So I think based off of what the science is saying, I think it's important that we strictly start implementing some new guidelines so that businesses can return.
Thank you, everyone. Coming up on this special edition of Coronavirus Questions Answered, I'll ask our leaders to raise their hands to certain questions so we can see what they agree and disagree on. Stay with us.
You depend on the First Alert Weather Team for a forecast that's customized to our valley.
We know how to track severe storms, alerting you before they hit.
We know our valley like no one else.
Wind, wildfires, rain, extreme temperatures, and earthquakes.
We're tracking it all.
We know our valley.
We know our weather, and we deliver the information you need to be prepared first.
The most knowledgeable meteorologists in the Coachella Valley. The First Alert Weather Team, only on News Channel 3, the desert's news leader.
Every one of us is returning to that most precious sanctuary, home. And so we offer this humble gesture, free delivery, however long is necessary, only through the Postmates app.
Hi, I'm Co.
And I'm Charlotte, owners of Window World.
People that call Window World are amazed by our great quality products, low prices, and our lifetime warranty.
Our energy-efficient windows and doors will lower your utility bills, reduce dirt, noise, and beautify your home. Our professional installs are completed in just one day with no stucco or siding damage.
Get quality and value with our current offer of 7 windows installed from only $28.44. Locally owned by the team you can trust.
We guarantee it.
Not only do we stand behind our windows, we stand on them.
Are you or a loved one concerned you may have prostate cancer? If so, talk to us first before you undergo any biopsy or treatment procedure. Invasive or aggressive procedures may not be the most effective solution and can often lead to serious side effects like incontinence or erectile dysfunction, pain, bleeding, heart attack, or stroke. Let our experienced state-of-the-art technologies preserve your greatest quality of life.
I'm Dr. David Schreiber. Call Desert Prostate Specialist in Rancho Mirage today at 760-536-4400 to learn more about your treatment options.
The General has been serving the Coachella Valley for over 35 years and as an essential service during this crisis. Our troops are here to help in every way we can. Now offering the no-contact service call because we care about your health and safety. Diagnostic and trip charges for first responders and healthcare workers are currently waived. We're taking food donations to local food banks and providing prescription pickup and delivery services for those in need. Of course, if you need a new air conditioner, we can still help with that too. There goes trouble.
Here comes the General.
2 new chicken tacos, the new spicy shrimp taco, the new plant-based chickenless pollo taco, and the world's first keto taco. Mix and match street tacos. There are literally thousands of combinations and customizations. El Pollo Loco. Feed the flame.
Closed captioning brought to you by Brad Schmidt Real Estate Group, the Palm Springs area's #1 real estate team. Exclusively endorsed by Barbara Corcoran.
Welcome back to a special edition Coronavirus Questions Answered with our city leaders. Okay, so just to recap with all of our mayors, let's do a quick show of hands. Raise your hand if you think that it's time for people to go back to work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And raise your hand if you think it is still important to wait. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's do another show of hands. Raise your hand if you agree with the current stay-at-home order and restrictions and everything it entails. 1, 2, 2. Okay, and raise your hand if you do not agree with everything in the order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, last one. Raise your hand if you think that the major events that have been postponed to later this year, including Coachella and Stagecoach, will actually end up happening this year. 1, 2, 3. And raise your hand if you think they won't happen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Thank you, mayors, for joining us tonight for this special edition of Coronavirus Questions Answered. But this is not over. We still have more questions for all of you. Part 2 of our discussion with the Coachella Valley mayors will be tomorrow night at 6:30 right here on News Channel 3 on CBS Local 2. So be sure to watch.